Hey, what's up? Thanks for purchasing Motion Revolver Elegant Extrusion. I'm Tyson France, and you're watching your video overview to help you customize the project. Let's take a look at the animation, and I'll bring that back up here. All right, let's see what this looks like.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, so we have about a 15-second animation where it's really just a smooth, elegant, slow-moving, clean animation, fake 3D within After Effects. All you really have to do is drop your logo in and render. It's really that easy. So really quickly, I will show you how to do that. Alright, so first thing first, I don't normally recommend you changing anything in the Don't Change These Comps folder. Everything in here is already set up so you don't have to change it. We're going to concentrate mostly on the compositions that are labeled in green and yellow. The first item here is your soundtrack composition. This is where you would drop in the music for your project. You don't have to use music, but if you would like to add it, this is where it would be edited. It would then be automatically inserted into your project in the master composition. So once you have your music in, you want to move on to your background. This composition is fairly large. It's 3840 by 2160. The reason it's so big is because this then becomes the 3D floor of your animation. The reason that I wanted the floor to be so large is so that you don't see the edges when the camera is animating around the screen. This also helps with perspective, giving the animation a lot more depth. And if we wanted to customize the color, for example, we could do that in here. We could change the hue to really whatever we wanted it to be. We could also decide to not use this fine texture that I've included with the project. It really adds, instead of it being a straight gradient from one color to the next, it adds a little bit of grain to the background, which kind of helps with the perspective as well. So once you have your background customized to your liking, we're going to move on to your tagline, and this is where you would type in your tagline. So let's click on the layer, and we'll change it to start something cool. So now that we change our tagline, we can see that it animates on here with the preset encoder fade on, which is an After Effects preset. This animates in over 20 frames. You can move this keyframe around to make it animate on shorter or faster, however you'd like. The font I was using was called elegantextrusion 22L. It's a free font that you can download from fontsquirrel.com, but feel free to use whatever font you want. All right, now that we have our tagline set, we're going to move on to your logo comp. And as you can see, we have the Envato logo as a placeholder in here, which you're going to want to change. Just a few items to point out in this composition. I've included a pre-rendered dust file that sort of adds a little bit of dust in the logo, as you can see. You can decide to use that or not. If not, you can just turn the layer off. It's not a problem. You could also choose to use or not use this gloss layer. I've added a bit of gloss in here, which you can turn off if you wanted your logo to look a little flatter. I just added that in there to give it a little bit more depth and give it that Apple feel, which is always kind of nice. And these layers are sort of like light effects that travel across the logo to draw more attention to the logo itself. You can decide not to use these if you'd like by just turning off these layers. And as you'll see, our tagline that we typed in is also in this composition. It's timed to come on at 5 seconds, so you can play around with the timing of that as well. So once you have your logo dropped in, we're going to move on to the meat of the animation. This animation is comprised of a few scenes, and it's fairly straightforward. It's just a 3D camera that's has a movement to it. You can change these keyframes to be whatever you'd like. You can have them You could have the camera start on a different part of the logo and animate in a different way, at a different speed, at a different length, however you would like it to look. It's fairly easy to do. All you really have to do is take your camera orbit tool and pivot around the animation, set keyframes. As you can see, we're getting a little bit crazy here, but you can mess around with it to change the positions of the keyframes and make the animation be whatever you want it to be. So like I said, it's comprised of a few scenes. The final scene, which is scene 4, the logo resolve, this actually begins a little bit closer on the logo and then pulls back as a real simple final logo resolve. And then this marker denotes the tagline animating on, and this happens at 3 seconds within this composition. So you can choose to have the logo animating on sooner by sliding this down, or later by sliding it up, whatever you want to do. Now these 4 compositions come together in the master comp where the timing occurs. As you can see, I have scene 1, 2, 3, and 4 set up here in this master composition. Each one animates on, and then I used the gradient wipe transition to transition to the next scene. That gives a little bit, of a softer, more organic type of transition rather than just a crossfade. But you can use whatever transition type you want. You can also change the timing of things in this composition. If you wanted your scenes to be longer, you would then have to extend them within this scene, and vice versa if you wanted them to be shorter. So as you can see, around 8 seconds and 10 frames, our final scene animates on with our logo, and that's pretty much how it ends. I have this set up so that it then fades off, fades to black pretty much, and the soundtrack as well. If there was music in there, there would be audio to dip down, but since there's no audio in there, we don't get audio keyframes. But that is pretty much the heart of the animation. Once you have all this set up, you choose a resolution that you'd like to render from, whether it's HD or standard definition. And it's really that easy. If you want to extend the length of the comp, if you wanted it to be 20 seconds, we would just go ahead into our master composition and say make this 20 seconds long. And we would ultimately have to extend some other compositions to make them long enough for the overall duration. But we would have to extend our render comps out as well to 20 seconds. Whatever length you need, it doesn't have to be 20 seconds. I'm just using that number as an example. But these are the compositions in which you would render from, and that's pretty much it. It's a pretty easy project. All you have to do is drop in your logo. Depending on the orientation of your logo, you may have to reposition the camera moves a little bit to get them to be exactly to your liking. But other than that, pretty simple. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email me through videohive.net, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. And I hope you enjoy this project and have fun customizing it. Thanks again.